Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello?
There he is.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Look at you sitting on a porch swing and everything.
Yeah.
Man, technology. Hold on, let's see how I can get my camera going here. All right, can you see me okay?
Yeah, I see you.
All right, there we go. All right, yeah, technology has not been our friend the last couple of days.
It hasn't. It
I was
hasn't.
like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So where are you located? You're in what? You're from Alabama. Are you there right
Yeah.
now?
I'm in Alabama now. This is actually my home, so we're just hanging out on the front porch.
Porch swing.
It feels amazing out here, so I could not be out here.
You are living the dream. I am in my apartment right now in the city of Detroit, up here in the great state of Michigan, and we've actually, believe it or not, had really, really good weather the last few days. So I'm super excited, but it's rainy right now, so
Oh
I,
man,
I'm fine with being in my apartment.
it's a little cloudy out here, but it's been so hot today that the clouds are just making the temperature perfect. So
So hot today. I can't stand it when I'm talking to people from the south because your weather's so nice down there.
yeah,
I was raised in North Carolina, so I kind of miss the early heat
yeah.
of the season. But yeah, thanks so much for being able to, I guess, adjust and do it this way. Normally, it's kind of weird doing it on video. I'm used to doing a podcast with.
Yeah.
We do a roundtable podcast. I've got three other people that do a podcast with me, and we see each other that way. But I'm not used to doing face to face for an interview. Normally, that phone system works, and I don't know why it wasn't working for you, but at least we're getting it done.
What happened? It was weird. It's almost like Verizon just wouldn't let me call that number. Maybe it has to do something with the service compatibility. I have no idea.
But we got it to work now, so that's all that matters, right? So you are calling in to talk about, and don't worry, since this is all recorded,
Mm-hmm.
I just do an introduction on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So I just dive right into questions. I'll tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. I don't know how much Mackenzie's told you, but we're a website that's dedicated to reviewing books, movies, and music.
Oh, cool.
We've been doing it, and most of it's Christian material. But we've been doing it roughly for almost a decade now, coming up on a decade. And I started as a college student. I was bored one day on Christmas break, and I'd read an album review in CCM magazine, which was still in print at that point. And I can't even remember what album it was, but they said something to the effect that it was like basically the best album ever, and Jesus would listen to it in his CD player, right? Or the iPod had just come out or whatever. And so I rushed to the store to grab it, and it was terrible. It was a horrible album. That's all I remember about it. I remember throwing it away.
In spite of the Lord's endorsement.
Yeah. Despite the endorsement of Jesus, it was a terrible album. So I was working for my college's PR department at the time, and so I knew how to write a press release. I knew how to write reviews, and so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna start writing my own, and I'm just gonna be honest. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, I'm gonna tell people. And so started doing that, and then publicists like Mackenzie started calling me and saying, hey, do you do interviews? And so I started doing interviews. I've been doing interviews now for the past 8 years of the website, because I wasn't doing that originally. So this is kind of cool that I'm finally being able to catch up with you, because I've actually been listening to the music of Nine Lashes for a while, but pretty sure, nope, have never interviewed any of you guys. So
No.
So this is kind of cool to be able to do that. So I guess I'll just dive right into questions. One of my first questions, though, Jeremy, is so Nine Lashes has been out for. I mean, you guys have been a band for how long at this point?
I mean, I guess if you want to, I call it, if you count what I call public facing,
Mm-hmm.
so people are aware of Nine Lashes probably since about 2012, maybe 2010, if for the few people that keep up with who Tooth and Nail signs and stuff like that. but I joined the band in 2007, right after I graduated, and it was mildly successful. And then I quit for a little bit. It's a long story, but I'll have to tell you sometime. And then I joined back with them, and we decided we were just going to do this thing huge. And so we gathered up as many funds as we could on our own, and went to Travis Wyrick and produced our own record called Escape. And long story short, that record found its way into the hands of Trevor from TFK.
Okay.
And he he loved what he heard, and he contacted us and got us in touch with Brandon and Tooth and Nail, and he kind of ushered that whole thing. And so, I mean, super thankful to that guy. He's a huge friend of ours. We love him to death. And so here we are today, I think on our third record with Tooth, and I think we got one more to go. And so I'm just excited.
Yeah, Trevor's a pretty interesting person. I've gotten to talk to him a few times now. It's kind of a nutball. I love him. I remember talking to him when can't remember what song it was, because he's in two different bands, right? But it was one of his songs that ended up in the trailer for the first G.I. Joe movie, I want to say.
Oh wow, yeah.
And that was like a big deal for him. He was like a big kid. He was like, "Oh my god, I watched G.I. Joe as a kid, and now my music's in the preview." Yeah. So he's a really cool guy.
He's so funny. Like if you don't know him and you first meet him, he's super nice, and it's so much to the fact that you think, okay, this guy is, he's playing it up a little bit. He's being so nice because he doesn't know me, and he's trying to go out of his way to be polite. But as you have a longer term relationship with him, you start to realize, no, he's literally just that nice. And so it's funny.
It's always nice to have those kinds of people in your life, right?
Oh yeah.
This guy's super nice. But then when you have a super nice person in your life, if you ever feel like you have to do something mean, or if you actually do something mean on accident, you feel so much worse.
Oh yeah.
Because of how nice. There's a guy in my college who was super, super nice. And I remember saying something to him, and I hurt his feelings. And the consensus around the college campus was that this guy was one step below Jesus. He was just that kind of a person. Funny. And like, if you had said that, hey, this kid did, this terrible thing, nobody would believe you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because of that, I remember hurting his feelings. I of course went to apologize for him, but I felt terrible for like a month and it wasn't even anything big. But I was just like, I hurt this guy. He's the nicest guy in the world. So you've been with Tooth and Nail for a little while now. Now, something I've noticed though, I remember when the first album I came across was The World We View. I think that was the first one I came across. Yeah. Was it the first album
with Tooth? Yeah.
Okay, it was the first one with Tooth. On that album, I really gravitated towards the fact that you were kind of, this, I won't say hard rock, but you were a rock outfit, right? Mm-hmm. And now with Ascend, there's a decidedly different sound. You guys have definitely gone more the pop route, at least in my opinion. Yeah. So are my ears deceiving me? Have you changed styles? And if so, what has precipitated the change in direction musically?
Well, as far as that's concerned, all throughout every record we've ever been these stray ideas that never make it onto a record. And a lot of those are acoustic. A lot of them are keyboard bass. That at first we felt like, we wanted to really define who we were. And I hate to use the term one-dimensional, but we really wanted to kind of focus on one thing and do it well. And as far as that is, we're all ADD, ADHD. And so we literally have our hands in so many different things on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
I mean, we're working on a record while John's trying to fix his kayak, while somebody's trying to build a PC. And like, we're all over the place, and we have so many different interests. And it's that way musically too, to where literally even during writing the last record before this one, the record sounds almost nothing like what I was listening to. And we worked hard to try to inject what we were listening to as much as possible. That's where a lot of the electronic sounds came from. But we we were afraid to venture too far off of rock. But honestly, this album, we just said, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just let it out of the bag. And basically, it was awesome. Like it was great being able to explore something different. And honestly, we haven't ruled out like side projects in the future. We had entertained the thought of this actually being kind of a branch off under a different name, but
okay.
In talking to the label, we came to the conclusion together that it might not be the best move right now, just as far as efficiency and funding and all that stuff. So we decided to just go ahead and own it and put it out, and it was a blast. And some of this stuff is, I want to do something different because I'm kind of bored as an artist. But then some of it was, hey, I got a new toy and I'm playing with it. You know what I mean? But from a lyrical standpoint, every bit of it was the same as it's always been, as far as a spiritual journey and in trying to bring a message that will connect with people, because we just want our music to move people, whether it's hard rock, whether it's pop, whether it's worship, whether it's country.
Please don't go country. Don't do country. I know you're from Alabama and everything, but I will stop listening.
No, don't worry. We have zero plans to go country.
Okay, well, all right, cool, good.
That was just the most extreme thing, other than rap. I guess we could try rap out there. But
if you did that, I would probably still be listening, but it would be more like a Linkin Park Jay-Z kind of thing at that point. Yeah. So you've admitted to changing styles. Hey, just because as an artist, we're going to kind of branch out. And you made some decisions as an artist, but you're an artist who's also under contract. With Tooth and Nail, you said that you've got one more album after this.
Yeah.
So as an artist, I understand that, but as a record label, look, we got to put out an album. We got to have consistency. People know your sound, your brand, yada yada yada. What was it like having those conversations with the label? I know Tooth and Nail tends to be one of the more creative labels, but they also tend to be known more for, Tooth and Nail itself tends to be known more for the rock side of things. BEC Recordings tends to be more your pop type stuff. Yeah. And so what were those conversations like being a Tooth and Nail artist and switching to this pop sound?
Well, those conversations, a lot of it had to do with a name, because we threw around the idea of branching this thing out. We had, I won't disclose the name because I can't guarantee it won't be used in the future. But
okay, gotcha.
But we had entertained that, and the label was kind of hesitant on that, and so we talked it out and hashed that part of it out, and eventually we just settled on let's build on what we have, because honestly, even from World Review, we've had Afterglow, we had Memo on that song, I won't give up on a dream, so while we've been majorly rock, the elements that are on this record have been there the whole time.
Right.
It's just the emphasis has been shifted, and shifted majorly for this album. And I have no idea what the next record will sound like, because I've done a few interviews in the past few days, and what I've told them is literally how we live our life. We really want to just, whatever's in front of us and whatever our heart is set out to do, we want to do that, because if we're ever forcing something, it loses that genuineness to it, that sincerity. And so I think if we just, in the place that we were at in our heads, if we had set out and said we're going to make another rock record, I don't think that it would have had the sincerity that the last two records had, because it's not where our brains were, it's not where our hearts were at the time. We really had this in us. It had built up over 2 albums where we had ideas that we couldn't really put on the record because it didn't make sense at the time. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. So I don't think it would have had the sincerity of the older albums.
Okay.
If we had tried to force it. Now,
so what does that do? What does that do? Like the sincerity, like I get that. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's generally what draws me back to an artist. Like, right. Man, they're real. They're going back to, I'm going to date myself here because I'm 36. So, when I was in high school, it was all DC Talk and Audio Adrenaline, right? And so, I remember DC Talk and doing their rap thing and having their song "I Love Rap Music," even though it wasn't actually a rap at all. It was just a song. But I mean, they were considered a rap outfit, and then they went with this whole grunge rock thing with Jesus Freak. And one of the big fears at the time, thankfully they were able to get around it, was alienating their fan base, the people who they brought along, who loved their music, who loved their style of hip hop. Looking back on it, I'm ashamed to actually call it hip hop, but as a boy growing up in the church, that was all I was allowed to listen to. So I was like, I'm going for the gusto. No Tupac in my life, no Biggie. It's as much as I'm gonna get, right? So but I mean, still, as a kid, I understood they changed their style, and there was kind of some angst from some of my friends at that time, going, "Hey, man, they were rap, and now they're going rock, and I'm not really a rock person. I'm not really into that sound, so I'm done with them." And so, is there any fear on your guys' side as a band who, you've had the elements there, but you haven't pushed in hard on those elements? You've leaned back on the rock side of things. Is there any fear on your guys' side that somebody's going to pick up this album? I believe it comes out March 11th, so tomorrow at the point of us doing this interview. So it's going to hit iTunes tonight at midnight, maybe at 11, depending on where you are. Is there any fear that there's going to be longtime fans that are going to say, "Hey, wow, what is this? This isn't the Nine Lashes I remember." Yeah,
well, there's not really a fear as much as a certainty that some people they're just not going to be happy with it. And but honestly, I feel like our last record, we made a great rock record. We pour our heart and soul into every record, and even then, it wasn't up to the standards that some people want. Some people just want what they want.
Right. You can't please everybody.
Yeah, and you have to make a decision. Either I'm going to set out to try and write the rock record that they love, or write the record that they love, or I'm going to set out and put my heart into it and write the record that I love.
Okay.
Because honestly, that's where we saw our first success, is we just tried to write the records that we loved. And as we grow and as we change, the records that we love are going to change. What comes out of our hearts are going to change. And there's, I told a few other interviewers that there's no rule that says 2 years from now we can't stop and be like, you know what, I'm bored with this now. Let's do some rock. We hadn't done that in a while.
Right.
And so, and we've even tossed around some names for a side project for that. So just because we know ourselves and we know that we're never happy just doing the same thing over and over and over and always, but at the same time, there's this balance that you have to achieve with your listeners to where they're expecting something and you kind of let them down if you don't deliver. And so we're kind of in an awkward spot right now with that, just because the timing of everything, it was kind of a now or never, but at the same time, not enough time to really separate it and do it the way that we would like to do it, with maybe a different name. And you have to consider so many people. You got to consider the label, you have to consider fans, you have to consider what you want and what you love. And so it's a balancing act from all these different forces all around you. And all the pieces fell in their place for this to be the way it is right now. But there's no telling what's going to happen in the future. We've got ideas for names of rock side projects, of pop side projects, just because we love music. And literally for me, the most rewarding part, aside from people, because honestly, I mean, on a spiritual level, there's only two things that matter: your relationship with God and your relationship with people.
Right.
And so other than our music going out and just seeing it make a difference in people's lives, the most rewarding part of doing music is literally writing new music. So when you hear a new song, you feel all these emotions, whether it moves you or whether it's not good, it's all in how the song impacts you, right? Well, when we've written a song and it's finished and we've heard it over and over, we don't really get that impact as much anymore. But when we do feel that is when we write it. As we're writing the song, as it's coming together, we get to experience all these first-time emotions and first-time feelings that our fans get to experience. And so that's the highlight of making our music for us. Okay. And so literally we follow what's in our hearts at the time, and who knows what the future looks like. I highly doubt we're going to write anything off as going back or never venturing there, just because we're we're explorers, man. Musical explorers. If I get a new toy, I'm gonna play with it. I'm gonna make some sounds with it. You know what I mean?
All right, just don't get bored too quickly. Okay, so then let's talk about the new album specifically. So Ascend is coming out at the time that we're doing this interview. It's coming out tomorrow. Hopefully this interview will post tomorrow. It depends on how lazy I get tonight with editing and all that jazz. So the album's about, it's in the can. It's done being recorded. It's about to hit iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever streaming service people have at this point, which I do want to ask about streaming services in a little bit. But so album's done. What are some songs that you're really excited about? And I don't know if you're a parent, if you have any kids. I know that's like asking who's your favorite kid. But
luckily, I've only got one right now.
Okay, all right. So you only have one favorite. Okay, so good. That's good. So you got a boy or girl?
Girl.
How old is she?
She's about to be 5 months.
Oh, so. you just wait. My daughter is 13, and
oh wow,
oh, good grief! Like you're gonna be her hero, and then she's gonna turn 12, and then you're gonna be like, "Do you even like me at all?" At all? And I've been told by a lot of women in my life that from the ages 12 to 19, she's just gonna hate you, and then she'll one day come out of her bedroom and love you again, but she's still going to hate mom for the next 5 years after that. So I don't know how that works, but good luck with that. But either way, what are some songs that you're really excited about on this new album?
I personally really enjoy Brand New Life. It of all the songs on the record, I mean, you could hardly call these songs hard rock or rock. They're very honestly and genuinely pop, but of all the songs, this has the most rock aspects.
Okay.
It's got driving rhythm guitars, driving lead guitars, and it's very obviously still very electronic, but it leans the most that way of all the songs on the record. I enjoy it. It from the time that we wrote it, it moves me and it speaks to me.
Okay.
And actually, it's a funny story. So on the side, we produce songs for other bands.
Okay.
We haven't really done anything huge yet or anything big. Our first big break into actually having a reputation for producing is actually this record. We produced from start to finish 4 of the songs on this record. And so we're hoping to get into that world a little bit. But this song we produced for another band, a friend of ours from California. And I think we had to like trade a MacBook or something to get it back just because we were like, listen, I know I wrote it.
It sounds like a backroom deal. I'll give you this MacBook.
Yeah. And so it was one of those things where like, okay, you need some help writing. And so I sat down, worked on a song, and then we're like, here you go. You love it. And you fall in love with it as you're writing, but then you got to hand it off. So I imagine it would be something like being a surrogate mother or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like,
carrying a baby and having to give it away. Anyway, we eventually traded our laptop for it. So we got it back and we took it to.
Wait, was it a brand new laptop? Was it used? Or like
it was well used.
Okay.
But yeah,
that's so funny.
That was a funny story about that one, but I really enjoy that song. Other than that, Eyes on You, it's funny. I happen to be naming the songs that we produced ourselves, but it's just genuinely how it came to be.
Okay. Now speaking of producers, though, I mean you guys worked with Aaron Sprinkle and Ian Eskelin.
Yep.
Good grief, Ian Eskelin! I saw him live.
Hang on one second. This is recorded. You can edit this, right?
Yep, I absolutely can.
Okay, my laptop is at 6%. So
now I'm going inside to see the house. Oh, look at this, getting a little tour.
Yeah, here I'm gonna face you with the couch.
All right, there we go. Oh, leather couch. Look at that. All right.
You need to sit right here. Is that yours?
No.
Is it in Andrew's room? I think he got it for that helper.
Found it. Yeah.
You can sit around sitting, Jeremy.
I can sit right here. It's fine. No worries. All right. You're still there.
I'm still here. I got about another 10, 15 minutes in me. So
Okay, cool.
we're good. So yeah, I mean, you worked with, so I'll back up. Boop, 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 boop. All right. So speaking of producing, so you self-produced 4 of the tracks on the new album, but you also worked with Aaron Sprinkle. I mean, who's been around the corridors of Tooth and Nail and BEC Records for a while. But
He's a talented guy.
He's fantastic.
What he does.
I've gotten to talk to him several times, but you get to work with Ian Eskelin as well. I think he's still based out of Nashville, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
On that. He had a song called Bright Red Carpet years ago. He was in some band. I can't remember the name of it now.
Is it All Star United?
All Star United. That's right. Yeah, I saw them live. It was All Star United opening for Third Day back when Third Day's first album came out. And I remember being in the lobby of this church. And Third Day was out. It was back when before they were huge, of course, and they're out in the lobby.
Yeah.
Ian Eskelin's out there. Third Day's out there, and I remember Mac Powell freaking out because they were being hosted in some guy's house, and he's like, "They got a pinball machine, guys!" I was like, "Wow, okay, that's funny." Yeah. So Ian Eskelin, obviously, I mean, he was doing All Star United, and then he went his solo route, but now he is very, very well known for producing pop rock sounds, out of his Nashville base.
Oh yeah, he's a machine.
Say again.
He's a machine. Sorry.
Yeah, he is. He's got his fingerprints on everything. But what was it like? I think this was the first time you guys partnered with him, though. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so what was that like partnering with Aaron Sprinkle and Ian Eskelin on this project?
It's like going from black to white, from light to dark. Just opposites.
Okay.
Aaron, he's very relaxed. He's not in a hurry about anything, and we kind of got used to that. We just kind of relax and work on some music and just kind of feel it out. And as it comes together, you love it, you hate it, you talk about it. But there's not a rush. Where with Ian, when we showed up, we literally, I think we wrote one song in one day and recorded vocals, recorded the music and everything in one day.
Wow.
So from not having a song, literally to having it recorded and ready for editing and cleanup and then mix in one day. And we were just like, wow, this guy's a machine, because he just takes a no-nonsense approach. You give an idea and it's like, okay, what's the purpose of this idea? Are you overthinking it? Are these people going to get it? Who's your target audience? Are they going to understand what you're saying? He just no nonsense. And if any of the criteria didn't match up, he's let's try something new. Just wasted no time as far as entertaining it, trying to make something. Because sometimes you'll have a part in a song, and you'll try to work with it, trying to massage it into the song because you think it could work, when really you just need to move on to another idea. And that's something that we're getting better at as we grow.
Okay.
We've done our fair share of massaging. And so it was really different from working with Aaron, just because that time difference, just the no nonsense approach, where Aaron, he's more of a, okay, yeah. Sometimes Aaron's funny though. You can't tell him I told you this, but sometimes you'll be like,
well, this is being recorded, so I don't know.
Sometimes you'll just be like, hey, Aaron, what if we tried such and such and so, and he'd be like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then he'll turn around and just do what he thought he should do.
It's like, I heard you, but we're not going to do that at all.
Exactly.
That would be great for someone else to do and fail at.
But you're thankful for it, because 3 days later, you're like, yeah, what was I thinking? That
was not a good idea. So now, I mean, again, album's done, album's in the can, produced 4 of the tracks, worked with some great producers, in and around the Christian music world. And we live in a day and age where I've talked to enough artists where I'm pretty aware that, from the record label side of things, and I mean, it's a business, right? So you don't make as much money on the selling records side of thing as much as you do from touring and selling the merchandise and all those kinds of things, concerts and all that kind of jazz. and that's changed quite a bit still, even more for the artist, because even the record labels are getting cut out because of the digital music revolution.
Yep.
Right? Before, they used to be able to move physical CDs, recoup something. Now there's no physical CDs. People don't like the liner notes as much anymore. Everything's piecemeal. I'm going to buy just this song, or now you don't even have to do that. Now I've got Apple Music where I pay $14.99 a month, and I can share it with 6 people, and I can just stream and have everything actually downloaded to my phone as long as I'm paying that $14.99 a month. I was like, well, I can pay $9.99 a month and get one album, or $14.99 and get it all. So I mean, you do the math, financially.
Absolutely. And it's so crazy how differently all the different services pay. Because I think for 1 million streams, I think Spotify is somewhere around like 8,000 or something like that, and then Google Play is like 45,000.
Wow!
For that same amount of plays, and it's kind of a weird time right now where the industry's still figuring it out, but I feel like hopefully as we move forward, we'll progress toward more unified, not just pricing but payouts, because obviously prices are similar across the board for consumers, but as far as royalty payments and stuff like that, it's kind of all over the place right now. So Amazon's even lower than Spotify. It's crazy. So
I even listen to Amazon? I don't know, but okay, so that leads to bands touring. I mean, it's always been a thing where bands are making money selling merchandise and touring and getting out there and getting the FaceTime with fans and whatnot. So when it comes to touring, though, I mean, like you said at the beginning of this, we write songs that resonate with us, where we are. That's what we're passionate about. That's how we make our albums, whether it's a rock album, whether it's a pop album. That's who we are. That's how we stay honest and authentic.
Right.
So you get out there, now you got the FaceTime with fans. What is it like? I mean, you're a few albums in at this point. What is it like to write a song, whether it's in a room with Ian Eskelin, whether it's in the basement of your house or at the kitchen table or whatever? A song comes to you, you put it together, you track it, all that jazz. What's it like to work on all that, for it to be totally personal, and then you're on the stage at some music festival or at some church, and everybody in the audience knows the lyrics to your songs? What's that like for you? It's
an unbelievable feeling just to know that where you were at and the way you expressed yourself in that moment connected with so many people. Like you can't even describe that. But even beyond that, like that's an awesome feeling. But beyond that, when you're at the table after the show, when somebody comes up to you and says that, like, I struggle with thoughts of suicide, and the other night I was this close, and your song just helped give me the hope that I could make it till tomorrow, and tomorrow's a new day. Like those stories, it's humbling, because really we enjoy writing music. We love writing music. So we're getting to do something that we love, and yet God gets to use that out in the world to impact real people with real problems. And just to see, like, there's so many other people that they have to work so much harder than we have to work, because they're over in Africa or Ecuador just trying to provide clean drinking water to the people, trying to be a ministry to them. And
or Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
Good grief.
We get to be, we get to do what we enjoy, do what we love, and then that goes out and ministers to people, And so I try not to forget where we've come from and how blessed we are to be able to do what we do. I thank God for it every day. And so it's just, it's awesome. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So
who are you guys hitting the road with next?
Well, it's kind of up in the air right now. So we're between booking agents, and so we've sent out our this record to a few booking agents, and we're waiting on a little interest. We're trying to find a balance between that and possibly try and just book our own thing. Considering buying a sound system, but we don't know. We're talking about it.
Okay.
So
if you could dream for a minute here, Jeremy.
Dream. Okay.
If you could dream, who would you like to tour with?
Oh man. One obvious answer would be Toby Mac, but
okay, right.
I love his music. That would just be fun. I feel like I would learn a lot just from all the years of experience that he has, being on the road, going to the studio. he would probably get annoyed with me because I'd be picking his brain all the time about, what do you think about this? What about that? How do you do this? And
You know, I don't know if you've ever talked to him. I've gotten to talk to him before, and when you do these interviews, sometimes it's like, you know, when the bigger the name, right? The bigger the name, the more the publicists will say things like, okay, so you have 15 minutes. You need to be off the phone in 15 minutes because it's got to do this other interview. And I try to honor that, obviously.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I was interviewing him, and I was like, all right, cool. So I know you only had 15 minutes today, so I'm going to let you go. He's like, no, man, I'm just at home. We could talk. We could talk for like another 45 minutes if you want. And we did. So, I mean, he seems to be pretty down to earth. So if you ever get a chance to talk with him, you can tell him Calvin at the Christian Manifesto said that he's a pretty down to earth guy, and that's why you like him so much. I don't know.
Thank you.
But okay, so Toby Mac would be someone that you would want to tour with. Throw out some other names that would be, you know, what's the dream ticket? So Toby Mac, 9 Lashes, and
oh man, well,
Prince, right? No, just
yeah.
That'll never happen.
Well, besides Prince, probably Carrie Job, because my wife is the biggest fan. So that one would be for her.
She's one of the few people I have not interviewed yet.
Really?
I keep trying to get an interview with her, and she's like,
come on now, you got to get on it.
I'm trying, man. I'm like, do you know who I've interviewed, Carrie? Come on now. But no, it never happens. It never. You know, I try to make it sound like I'm more important than I am. But yeah, I can see that.
We all do that. It's okay.
Yeah, she's fantastic. So okay, so you're between booking agents, looking at maybe booking your own stuff. We'll see. We'll see what happens next. But just kind of as a way of one of the ways I wind down all of our interviews is I talk about the fact that we're always kind of socially networked. We live in this world where everybody's online, everybody's connected but disconnected at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, so that's affecting the music industry and the way that we download music and payouts and all those kind of things. But it also connects us with our fans. I mean, we were having issues trying to get connected to the last couple of days, and you were able to email me today. So like real quick, we were able to figure out how this works. Even now, we're using technology to connect with each other, and I can see you. You're in Alabama. I'm in Detroit. But because of that, it helps us move our careers forward, so to speak. Your band forward, get them out there and notice. So where can people? Where is your strongest presence online? Where can people find out more about 9 Lashes, your story, what you're doing, where you're touring, all that kind of stuff?
Probably our Facebook. We've got a website up right now, but it's more of a hub just to kind of get to our social platforms, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all that. So, but Facebook would definitely probably be the number one source. If there's anything new worthy of announcing, we'll announce it on there. So,
okay.
We hope to have a larger scale website in the future, in the near future. We're just those pieces I was talking about, the way they fall. Some of them are still falling. So we're
all right.
So
hopefully they'll fall into place, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jeremy, it's been absolutely fantastic talking with you about the new album, about just kind of the music industry and where you guys are going and your heart behind the music. Thanks so much for taking time to share all that with me. And I'm hoping that this album sells like gangbusters. And if you lose a few fans, hopefully you'll gain 100,000 more fans, right?
Oh yeah.
So that the label's like, we have to get you on a tour bus and get you out there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I really like the album. I like the change in sound. I like the message of the album, or the various messages in the different tracks. And so I hope that it touches people where they are. And thanks so much for taking time to share your heart about it.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I mean, you could be interviewing Carrie Job right now.
I could be, but she's being stingy. She's stop being stingy, Carrie. Stop being stingy. No, not even listen.
So, whatever. But in all honesty, thank you for your time and your efforts and what you do. And I just hope that I can make it worthwhile in some way. And if there's anything you ever need from us, feel free to hit us up.
Well, I got your email now, so I might hit you up all the time. See, I'll be the guy that you would be to Toby Mac. I'll be like, hey man, so tell me what's going on. But Jeremy,
this guy again.
Yeah. Oh God, I should have never done that interview. But again, thanks so much, and have a great afternoon.
You too.
All right, I'll talk to you later.